Hello everyone, a very good afternoon to all of you and welcome to the session. If you can please let me know if I'm properly audible and visible. You can let me know in the chat here. Okay, so I hope that things are working fine. Those who are watching me for the first time, I'm Niharika John Mehra, your Faculty of English here, and I have been teaching English for more than 10 years for competitive exams. So you get many of my sessions on our website, under our courses, on our YouTube channels. Okay, अगर आप लोगों को regular practice करनी है, let me quickly give you my schedule. 1:30 p.m. my daily classes are there on YouTube Monday, Wednesdays and Fridays on this channel, and the same time on Tuesdays, Thursdays and Saturdays we have classes on our other channel जो कि है CGB IBPS Hub. Okay, you can easily find it and subscribe that channel as well for regular practice. Apart from this, 8 p.m. पर हमारी every Saturday class होती ही है. Now coming to the series जो CSAT की reading comprehension है, we have started practicing those questions, and let me tell you, you have broadly categorized करे. So three types of questions: you have inference, you have assumption, and you have direct indirect questions. Okay, now those questions could be like summing up, what is the main idea, true not true questions जो कि indirect questions में आते हैं. Assumption questions are the ones the answer is going to be initial idea based on which the whole passage is written, and inference is something that is hidden behind the meaning. It is sort of a conclusion, but you draw it from the hidden meaning. Okay, so there we go. This is the first one. You have to answer here in the chat. Answer is D. First the question: What is the most logical, rational, crucial? So इतने words में confuse नहीं होना. What's the main message that is implied? We understand from this passage. ये आपका question है. India has suffered persistent high inflation. Main बात है India has suffered from inflation. Increase in prices, demand, imbalances, imported inflation aggravated by rupee. There are so many things, many causes have combined to keep high inflation going. Second line talks about बहुत सारे reason है, not just one. If there is an imminent common element common to all of them, there is something like a common denominator. It is that many of them are the outcomes of reforms. So this is a common factor. India's vulnerability to the effects of changes in the international prices has increased the liberalization. The effort to reduce subsidize to reduce now the effort has subsidized, it has resulted in a continuous increase in the prices of commodities. Inflation के बारे में पूरी बात है. Also, author is saying why it has happened. So the reason here is economic reforms can often create high inflation economy. Author has mentioned many reasons, but he himself उसके passage में ही conclude करके बता रहा है that many of them are the outcomes of reforms. And later on also he is saying कि क्यों किस प्रकार से international prices के कारण चीजें बदली हैं. So this was the main message कि economic reforms which are supposed to be good, give us good outcomes, they can do something which is not in our favor. Under the present circumstances, India should completely avoid all trade liberalization. He hasn't advised anything to work out the inflation, तो ये तो नहीं होगा. Due to its peculiar socio-economic situation, India is not yet ready for trade liberalization. ये तो already हो ही रहा है ना, इसका भी आंसर में लेना देना नहीं था. There is no solution in sight for the problems of continuing poverty. Inflation is mentioned, poverty is not mentioned in the passage. तो message कैसे फिर poverty को लेकर होगा? Okay, hence the answer D. Make sure to like and share the session, guys, and आप भी आंसर करते जाइए यहाँ पे. Is the right answer. No right is absolute, exclusive or inviolable. तो ऑथर इज सेइंग कि ऐसा कोई भी राइट नहीं है जो कि बस वही है और उसके आगे सब कुछ खत्म है. कोई एब्सोल्यूट नहीं है. ऐसा नहीं कि किसी एक को ही मिलेगा. इनवायलेबल मतलब हम उसे चेंज ही नहीं कर सकते, ब्रेक ही नहीं कर सकते. ऑथर सेइंग कि ऐसा कोई राइट है ही नहीं. The right of personal property, similarly, same to this statement, has to be perceived in the larger context of its assumed legitimacy. कितना legit है वो बड़े पिक्चर के अकॉर्डिंग देखना पड़ेगा. The right of personal property should unite the principle of liberty with that of equality and both with the principle of cooperation. So ये right में क्या क्या elements होना चाहिए, कैसा होना चाहिए. In the light of the argument, which one of the following statements is most convincing explanation? That means author क्या सोच के ये बातें बोला, not assumption exactly, but then it has to match with the idea कि author ऐसे क्यों बोल रहा है कि कोई right है ही नहीं है absolute. So that is D. The comprehensive idea, altogether idea, a thorough idea of economic justice demands that the right of each person of property, acquisition of property बोलो एक ही बात है, has to be reconciled with that of others. क्योंकि यूनाइट करना है प्रिंसिपल ऑफ लिबर्टी से, दैट इज विद इक्वालिटी एंड विद द प्रिंसिपल ऑफ कोऑपरेशन. तो दूसरी चीजों के साथ हमको साथ में कंसीडर करके राइट ऑफ प्रॉपर्टी को चेक करना है. सो दिस इज व्हाट द पैसेज इज एक्सप्लेनिंग अस. A, B and C, why they are wrong. The right of personal property is a natural right duly supported by statutes and scriptures. Natural right है नहीं because author says no right is absolute exclusive. Natural right होता तो exclusive हो जाता ना. That's why this is wrong. Personal property is a theft, an instrument of exploitation. इतना negative तो बोला ही नहीं है author ने. The right of personal property is violative, it is inviolable of distributive justice and negates the principle of cooperation. Author is saying we would want to unite right of personal property with principle of cooperation, but he is not saying that currently it is negating it. So it is not what the passage says. Next question. You have to answer here in the chat. Okay. Answer is A. The author's viewpoint can be best summed up in which of the following statements? What's the conclusion here? The conflict between man and state is as old as state history, means it is there since long time back. Although attempts have been made to bring about a proper adjustment between competing claims of state and individual, the solution seems to be still far off. There is no as such solution. This is primarily because of the dynamic nature of human society, where old values yield place to new ones. It is obvious if individuals are allowed to have absolute freedom of speech, etc., the result will be chaos. So author is saying कि अगर पूरी छूट दे दी तो फिर तो chaos है, ruin है, anarchy. Now, sum up is something, it should conclude the whole para, not just one line out of the para. So the conflict between the claims of state and individual remains unsolved. This was so easy. ऑथर इज सेइंग कि अभी तक सोल्यूशन मिला नहीं है, और क्यों नहीं मिला है उसका एक्सप्लेनेशन लेटर हाफ में ऑथर ने दिया है. Anarchy and chaos are obvious results of democratic traditions. That's true, but it is not the sum up. It is just one last statement that also कि जहाँ पर absolute freedom of speech action है वहाँ क्या हो रहा है. Old values, ideas, tradition persist despite the dynamic nature of human society. Again, this is not what we want. This is half of the information and not the sum up. Conclusion nahi hai. Constitutional guarantee of freedom of speech is not in the interest of society. ये कुछ third point ही है. Author का viewpoint यहाँ पर conflict को लेकर है, which is between man and state and how it is unresolved, why it is unresolved, why that conflict exists. तो ये बात सम अप में रिफ्लेक्ट होनी चाहिए, विच इज नॉट इन द टी एज वेल. I'll give you a little bit of extra time for this one because it's a lengthier one. Take some extra time and think and answer. The answer here is only first and third. अभी देखो कैसे. According to the passage, which of the following are is a matter of intense debate in negotiations under UNFCCC regarding the role of developing countries in climate change? Regarding the role, intense debate क्यों हो रहा है? Short में समझो question को and then you go through the passage. Options है scale and size, crop loss, enhance of mitigation and adaptation action. So climate change is a complex policy issue with major implication in terms of finance. All actions ultimately involve cost. सब में funding लगेगा. Funding is vital for countries like India to design and implement adaptation and mitigation plans of projects. So funding इसलिए बहुत ही ज़रूरी है. Lack of funding is a large impediment, बहुत बड़ी रुकावट होती है for such plans. Scale and magnitude of financial support required by countries to enhance their domestic mitigation actions are a matter of intense debate. तो बहुत ही simple था. The scale and magnitude है, that is scale and the size of the financial support. And the second part is required by developing countries to enhance domestic mitigation and adaptation. There you go, that's your third point. Crop loss at this point is irrelevant. Same passage, you have another question, so I won't give you a lot of time for this one, but please go through it, understand पूछा क्या है. For this one, the answer is, assuming you have already read, तो इसमें ज़्यादा time आपको नहीं दिया, only the third one. In the passage, the convention puts responsibility of support on developed country because of. तो क्या बोल रहा है? The convention puts responsibility for provision on the developed countries. Okay, taking into account their contribution of the stock of GHGs, and there you go. It's so direct. Same passage, third question. Okay, only the first one. So, with regards to developing countries, it can be inferred, it is a pure inference based question, that climate change is likely to have implications on the domestic finance. Why? क्योंकि फिनेंस डेवलप कंट्री से आएगा. डेवलप कंट्रीज जो है they are backing on the account of their stock of greenhouse gases. So that's how we infer कि डोमेस्टिक फिनेंसेस पे असर होगा. इफ वी वांट समथिंग, द क्लाइमेट चेंज में कुछ होता है तो फाइनेंस जो फंडिंग है दैट वुड बी द फर्स्ट थिंग जो कि अफेक्ट करेगी. मल्टीलैटरल ट्रेड का इसमें कुछ था नहीं. सेम पैसेज, नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन. Answer here is A. Now first again understand the question what exactly पूछा जा रहा है. So which one of the following is essentially discussed in the passage? That means हमारा option relevant होना चाहिए and that has been a part of the passage content. Conflict between developed and developing countries regarding support for mitigation. So the first half already talks about how funding is so important. Then there is a convention that is putting responsibility for the provision of support on developed countries. It's handing them over. Given the magnitude of the task and the funds required, domestic finance are likely to fall short of the current and projected needs of the developing countries. यहाँ पर पिछला आंसर. Global funding through multilateral mechanism of the convention will enhance domestic capacity. So यहाँ पे we can see there is a tussle going on between developed and developing countries. Essentially वही बात को बहुत ही mellow तरीके से यहाँ पर बताया गया है regarding support for mitigation. Occurrence of climate change. See, the whole passage was talking about funding thing, financial support. So this is out. Lack of political will to implement adaptation plans. This is way too broad. That's why this is out. Governance problems of developing countries as a result of climate change. Climate change was mentioned only in one context. That was GHGs. And these were the developed countries who were participating in the stock and all. तो वो बात यहाँ पे D में है ही नहीं, which is mentioned in the passage. Let's do the next question now. So answer is B. Which of the following is most logical corollary, which is a conclusion of the passage? Corollary मैंने पिछली क्लास में भी आप लोगों को बताया था. This is a term you should all know. Climate change is already making many people hungry all over the world by disrupting crop yields, pushing up prices. So climate change directly related with a decrease of the yields and of course ultimately pushing up the prices. And it is not just food, but nutrients that are becoming scarcer as the climate change. So the quality nutrient compact food भी नहीं मिल पा रहे हैं. It is the poorest communities that will suffer the worst effects of climate. So कौन के ऊपर ज़्यादा असर पड़ेगा, including increased hunger, malnutrition. On the other hand, poverty is a driver of climate change. Poverty के कारण मतलब वाइस वर्षा भी देखें so climate change में poverty का भी रोल है, as desperate communities resort to unsustainable use of resources. So climate change affecting people, especially those who are poor, who are from the poorest communities, and these people themselves, they have no other option but to resort to unsustainable use of resources. So it's like a vicious cycle here. Poverty and climate impacts reinforce each other, they support each other. Therefore, we have to reimagine a food system. We can see very clearly that दोनों ही एक दूसरे के cause हैं, and they are helping each other. Of course, it's not a good thing, but then that's how they are reinforcing each other. So now we have to figure out a third way out, and that's what B is saying. That is the conclusion. Government should allocate more funds to poverty alleviation programs and increase subsidies. This could be something to inference types से हो सकता था, but as of now, it's not a corollary. All the countries of the world, all the countries is extreme option, must unite. It's a compulsion, नहीं होगा. We must stop unsustainable agricultural practice immediately. बहुत ही compulsion, extreme words भी हैं इसमें, तो ये भी हमारा आंसर नहीं था. Of course, that wasn't what the passage was anyways talking about. Okay. Answer is D. The global finance. Okay, first the question. Which of the following is most rational critical inference question here? Hidden in between the lines. That's what you have to think. So, global report finds that share of portfolio investments from advanced economy in the total debt and equity investments in emerging economy. Okay, so share of investments from advanced in the total debt and other investments in emerging has doubled in the past decade. एक finding है. The phenomena has implications for Indian policymakers as foreign investments in debt equity markets have been on the rise. So now this thing which has happened in the first statement is something where we need to be now alert about. Phenomena is also flagged as a threat. अब इसको threat भी बोल रहे हैं. That could compromise the global stability, financial stability in a chain reaction. अभी threat है, अभी यहाँ पे कुछ भी ऊपर नीचे हो सकता है in the event of US Federal Reserve's imminent reversal of the quantitative easing policy. So a policy, सिर्फ इनके नामों में मत फंसो. Understand the main message of it. We are talking about advanced economies, we are talking about the emerging economies, how the investment share is affecting the whole scenario, okay, the whole financial stability, and वही समझ के आपको अब आंसर देना है. So emerging economies are at a risk of shock from advanced economies. Advanced economies यूएस फेडरल रिजर्व्स ने अगर रिवर्सल कर दिया पॉलिसी का, दैट्स व्हाई द फिनोमेना इज फ्लैग्ड एज अ थ्रेट. तो यहाँ पर एज अ थ्रेट है. थ्रेट, इफ दैट हैपेंस, इट इज नॉट गोना अफेक्ट एडवांस्ड बट द इमर्जिंग वंस. दिस इज व्हाट वी इन्फर फ्रॉम द पास्ट. India should desist from accepting foreign portfolio investments in the future. Does this mean we should not do it? This is an extreme thing to understand from the passage that हम पूरे से रोक दें. Of course, we cannot do that. Advanced economies undermine the global financial stability. It's nowhere written, there is no indication that the advanced economies are okay if financial stability goes for a toss. ऐसा कहीं लिखा नहीं है, and that's why this is not the inference. Foreign portfolio investments are not good. अगर गुड नहीं होते तो फिर क्यों कंटिन्यू होते, राइट? इट्स अ लॉजिकल थिंग हियर. रीजनिंग करोगे अगर, बी रैशनल. तो ए इज ऑल्सो रॉन्ग. Answer is B. Which among the following is most critical inference that can be made from the above passage? फिर से inference का question है. Surprisingly आज assumption का question एक भी नहीं आया, but we are gonna do a lot of them in coming days. So open defecation is disastrous when practiced in densely populated areas where it is impossible to keep human feces contaminated. Of course, open defecation is disastrous. यही message है इस line का. Many ingested germs and worms spread diseases. They prevent body from absorbing calories, nutrients. अब क्या क्या नुकसान है? Nearly 1/2 of India's children remain malnourished. Lakhs of them die from preventable condition. Condition जो prevent हो सकती थी but हुई नहीं. Diarrhea leaves India's bodies smaller on average than those people in poorer countries where people eat fewer calories. Diarrhea भी हमारे यहाँ काफी हो रहा है. Underweight mothers produce stunted babies. Mothers के ऊपर भी impact हो रहा है. The germs released into environment harm rich and poor alike, even those who use that. So those who are not going for open defecation, even they are affected. So open defecation is the most important public health problem of India because it is equally affecting rich and the poor. It is affecting babies, children, mothers, everyone. So there you go. ये आपका inference है. Central and state governments do not have enough resources. Author has not spoken about the resource part, that we don't have enough resources, finances. इतने नहीं है कि we can solve the problem of open defecation. There could be other reasons also why people still practice it. Open defecation reduces the human capital of India's workforce. It is extreme option to draw to see beyond what is mentioned here. Open defecation is a public health problem in all developing countries. All के लिए तो enough data मेरे पास है नहीं यहाँ पे. Okay, so that's why we cannot go with this one. We are talking about India, of course. That's very clear from the passage. So आपका answer B था. Okay, so here we are done, and I hope you people might have learned, you might have understood कैसे आपको questions करने हैं, कैसे सोचना है. When I explain, you can always try to sync your thoughts, your reasoning with what I'm explaining and see how much it matches. You try to sync your thoughts in a way where it starts reasoning the way I'm explaining. तो वो आपको बहुत help करेगा. Okay? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you later in the evening in our RBI course. अगर आपने अभी तक नहीं check out करा है, check out the description for details. Currently, we are doing Pressy writing practice. It's a live practice, and I give feedback also, which is one-on-one. और दूसरी तरफ हमारी YouTube classes है जिसका मैं ऑलरेडी आपको प्लान स्टार्टिंग ऑफ द क्लास में बता चुकी हूँ.